Chasing shadows where the seeds are sown. Fingers tapping on a Ouija board. Broken silence like a shattered chord. Eerie hums in the dead of night. Is it truth?
What's up, everybody? I'm just going to talk already. Mary is still struggling. Ah, there she is.
Yeah, the screen opened up 10 times, so we have another big try.
Yes. We are going to have so much bloopers in the end of the year.
I told you I'm going to mess up major.
I'm going to add something. For everybody who's looking right now or listening to our Spotify, if you found a blooper we didn't, please send them over.
Yeah.
We need them. We need them. Yep.
We do need. And Restream worked fine this time. I could even remove the video. So I hope you liked the new video because Shane made a new one. And let me start proper. Welcome to Things Paranormal Talks. And tonight we will be talking to someone. And I actually saw a comment and I wanted to drop in on that. He told top-notch guest Malcolm Robinson on all strange phenomena from planet Earth to beyond the stars. So hang on to your heads, listeners. I loved it so much. So here he is, Mr. Malcolm Robinson.
Hi, folks. Very good evening to you and your viewers. Nice to be on your show. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for coming on.
Absolutely. If you will start, Shane, I will be checking the channels at this moment.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
First off, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for coming back for a Mediterranean cruise. Came back with a little bit of a cold, but I'm getting over it and absolutely fine.
Good. Yeah, the flu is hanging around everywhere, so I hear, because my daughter's sick as well. I was sick last week, so it's a little one. You'll get over it. Thank God. Well, we invited you to talk about UFOs and everything you do, which is a lot, which I already heard. I'm a noob. I'm going to be honest. I heard about you from Mary, and I was intrigued. I was like, you have to invite him because I want to know everything.
Yeah.
So, how did you start with UFOs?
Well, I've said on countless shows. As a small boy growing up, and I always had this fascination for all things weird and wonderful. I was absolutely fascinated by UFOs. And as a small boy in primary school, we got this book to read in, who crash landed in a woodland, and these two kids skipped off school. They found these wonderful journeys. Now, obviously, it was a fictional tale, but that grabbed my imagination. And I was reading the books of Eric Van Daniken, Jenny Raffles. I watched shows of the Twilight Zone. We then started to see wonderful movies coming from America, like the War of the Worlds, and again these all was like fuel to the fire, on ghosts. But these were fictional books, and I went, no, I've got to read something more. So I'm reading books about Poltergeist by Colin Wilson and other famous researchers. But I didn't think there were any validity. I did not think there were any validity to ghosts, UFOs, poltergeists, but a lot of nonsense. I honestly felt nonsense, and I'm going to disprove this. I'm going to set out, and in 1979, I set entitled Strange Phenomena Investigations, and the aims of it collect, research and publish accounts relating to most aspects aspects of, and to purposely endeavour to try and come up with some answers to account for what. Am I still a skeptic? No, I'm not, because I found over 45, 50, speaking to people in the UK and Europe and elsewhere. These people are traumatizing incredible things, and yes, there is a lot of hoaxes and misidentification, but in the main, I would not be dealing with this wonderful subject. We're dealing with something real. We're dealing with something tangible, something that's, and I've been on this wonderful journey all these years. I'm still doing it. I'm just a nobody. I'm just a guy who's interested in these wonderful subjects from the British government, the American government, and the world's government. So in a wonderful journey, still, and I love it every single second of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, awesome.
definitely.
I've seen you in a documentary on TV here in the Netherlands, and you were researching, I think it was a close encounter, and you told so much about it, and not everyone knows it, not everyone's seen it, but you know which encounter I mean.
There's a few of them. Could it be the Declan Woods case, the forestry worker?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that one?
Yeah.
Well, I was just a young boy. I would say back in 1979, the year I founded our society, and a fantastic case, this close encounter case, and it dropped into my lap age. It's a massive story. Obviously, I needed to write a book about it. The dents, it's on Amazon, but here's the story. It's a famous story, but for those viewing and listening, 61-year-old forestry worker Robert Taylor was employed by Development Corporation. Livingston is a small town near Edinburgh in central Scotland. To you viewers, that he was a war hero. He went over to France and helped liberate the Nazi presence from Europe. He also helped Nelson concentration camp. We know the horrors that was happened there. When the war finished, he settled back in Scotland, enlightened people. He had interest in UFOs. They were the furthest thing from his mind. Obviously, I'd read about them in newspapers, but it was a big thing in his life. All that changed on the morning of November the 9th, 1979. Woods in central Scotland in his departmental pickup truck. He was accompanied on by his Irish red setter dog Lara. It's a journey he had made before. His purpose in doing so was to ensure that no cattle or sheep strayed into the woods, but he enjoyed doing it. He got out of his truck, he walked right, trees to the left, trees to the right, accompanied by Lara, his dog. Came upon a clearing in the forest. He couldn't believe what he was looking at. For there, about 10, 12 feet above the surface of the grass, was this long-shaped craft with a flange going around its perimeter and cross-like projections. And he's standing there looking at this. What's I've seen the likes of this before? And his dog is barking furiously. Then it rematerialized, it solidified, it desolidified. You could see it. And as if this whole scenario couldn't get any more weirdly, it did. For what resembled 2 seconds, those spherical balls with the spikes that bobbed along in the North Atlantic channels. These mines would explode. Similar to that. Dropped hovering craft, impacted on the grass and started rolling across the grass to water. And he's looking at these things. There was only about 3 spheres with the spikes, and he stopped. They extended and grabbed him at both hips and pulled him upwards. And at that point, he remembers a swishing sound, wooden stick, and you swished it over the air, and then a terrible pun, like burning brake linings. If you put your foot on the brakes in your car, it comes up through the foot. This horrible smell pervaded the whole area. Then he lost. When he regained consciousness, thank God, this large object were gone. But what he did find was over 40 holes in the grass, triangular and circular holes in the grass, and 2 ladder-like grass. He found that he had a nasty graze under his chin. He had a graze on his trousers were ripped. His clothes were all muddy. And he managed to stagger back to radio base to phone his boss. He couldn't speak, he had lost his voice. And somehow he managed to reverse his pickup truck into a small, shallow ditch, the back wheels. So he had to leave his truck in the forest, and he managed to stagger to his home in Things, a small village near the town of Livingston. And when his wife saw him, "What's happened to you? Look at you, your trousers are clothes." And he said, and I can only say, Mary, the words he said, and his wife said, "Attacked by men? No, by oh, come inside. There are no such things as a spaceship. Come on, come inside." And she went, "Wait a minute, I've been married to this man for over 40 years. He would never, ever a story like this." She phoned his doctor. The doctor attended the family house, and he did a heart rate was very elevated. And he then suggested the hospital to get tested. He waited and he waited and he waited. Nobody came near him. So he just says, "I've had enough. I'm going." So he wasn't. When he went back home, Mary, his boss was there. Malcolm was there. "Look, all the marks in the grass." And this was deemed as an assault by person, and as such, the police became involved. A full investigation was undertaken. Even a forensic test was done on the trout to the chief forensic scientist, a gentleman by the name of Lester Knibb in Malcolm. These trousers were ripped upwards in a mechanical, not made by any forest debris like sharp stones or twigs, neither, barbed wire fencing. And they were totally flummoxed as to what was going on. They say that in the weeks after, there were a number of UFO sightings, people, and we also have claims. Once my book was released, stories, and one young boy about 12 years of age says, "Malcolm, I went up to Deckman Woods, and there were over a dozen military people in the woods." So that was quite an interesting testimony. And in my latest book, UFO Case Files of Scotland, we have more testimony about the Deckman Woods, new testimony. One young girl in the woods, and she saw this whole event transpire. It's one of Scotland's big encounter cases, and I honestly believe, and there's over 12 theories as to Bob Taylor, and I address these queries in my book, these theories in my book. Met the man, haven't interviewed the man. That man was telling the truth, as he's in the right place at the right time, or the wrong place at the wrong time. And he said, "My God, how I wish you had been there to see this enormous." So, but what was it doing there? We've got to ask yourself what it was doing there. And I've only said that kind of gives you an idea of what happened in that case. One case, I evaluate my skeptical thoughts, and I went, you know what? I think there's something going on. It's that one case. I now do wholeheartedly believe that we're dealing with something in this world. It's always been with us through time immemorial. We see it in Alyson's paintings. We see it in cave acted various countries and continents. And it's what a case that was.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Now, I have a question if it comes to what happened to this man in particular. What do you think they, as in alien wise, want to accomplish by doing something like that?
It's a massive question, a great question. It's a question I don't have I give you my speculations. It kind of lends into the UFO abduction scenario, cars, the comfort of their home, etc. In Robert's case, the witness, it was in the woods. Speculate that they're taking sperm and ova from males and females. I know it sounds Star Trek, a dying planet. Excuse me, a dying planet. Or, it could be something from us, some form of genetic manipulation. That's only, who's to say that what we're seeing in the skies actually maybe we are the experiment. They are the gods. They placed us here. It's nothing to do with species. I don't know where that leads us with Christianity. We can maybe address that later. But maybe for them. As for Robert Taylor, we don't know true. He was hypnotized by a stage hypnotherapist by the name of Robert Halpern, and all we learned from that is he took Bob back in time to that eventful morning. The mind didn't come up. They remained firmly closed, and all Bob could recollect in blackness. We could not penetrate the blackness through the and sadly the witness died a few years ago. But I believe him. Yeah.
Yeah, his story sounds very credible.
Yeah, it did the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And point of fact, I still actually have the witnesses in my office where I'm on screen with you, and I take these ripped trousers and I show my lectures and stuff, and it's nice to have an artifact, an alleged artifact that alleges something not of this world. To have that is fantastic.
Yeah, that is fantastic.
Yeah. This close encounter, it made me very curious. If you look at Skinwalker Ranch and the area over there, you have UFO sightings, and they have close encounters, I think, but they have also cattle mutilation. Do you know if that happens in Scotland as well?
To my knowledge, strange animal mutilations in Scotland, for strange reason, it's not a regular basis. If it did, I would certainly hear more about it. I know it's more a kind of European American, for sure. And but in Scotland, no, we don't seem to have many cases of this, but no animal mutilations, unless somebody tells me different.
Well, I thought it was strange because we jumped into UFOs and the phenomena a while back, and we didn't hear anything in these parts of Europe and not in the UK. So it made me double curious.
Yeah.
So it's just in the States.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun for hotspots throughout the world. We have it here in central Scotland, in Bonnybridge, in Pensacola. We have it in another plains in Australia, and we have various hotspots or window to attract a higher concentration of UFO reports than anywhere else. And we have to address this. Why? Is it because the military installations there, nuclear facilities, where UFOs have been sighted over missile silos? Minuteman silo, for instance, nuclear missiles were switched off as UFOs were hovering above the military complex. And
Yeah.
I mean, people say should be alarmed, should be these. I think if they wanted it to cause us any harm, they would certainly. The big problem is we're still having these UFO abductions. It begs the question on a show just the other day there. Is it because of something else? And what I mean by that, I can't remember if she's American or Australian. I think she was American. A lady by the name of Mon, lots of UFO sightings and encounters with beings. And she got these two to come with me. Come with me and you'll see me being taken by aliens. Yeah, absolutely. So she drove in her car, picked up these two in the back of the car, and Maureen Puddy was right in the front. And then suddenly she said, they're coming. So of course the two researchers are like, wow, this is going to be great. They're almost here. They're here. They're ahead. I'm going now. The thing is, yeah, she was still in the front seat of the car. So my question, my speculation is not a physical abduction. Could it be just that they're taking the etheric or from that person? Again, that's big speculation on my part. So it's not the physical they're taken out, but that's just speculation. So, but yeah, because crazy.
It does make sense because if they are still here and they're only taking your soul with your consciousness, you have the feeling you've been abducted, but it won't solve those abductions of people who claim to be operated on, being tested, had items put in their body, because there's proof for that as well.
Oh yeah. I mean, we have such a case of that very nature.
Yeah, it does. And you wrote a lot of books about UFOs, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the main reason to write books, and I've said it before in other shows, is it's not to make money. You don't make money out right.
No.
If people tell me these wonderful stories that I check them out to be true, what am I going to do with them? I carry them forever. These have got to get out. These stories have got to get out in book form. So England or Canada will go, hey, that happened to me. The very same thing. Important when people tell me their stories, and once I validate them, that they go into these nice, hey, we're dealing with something real here. And, you know, I educate the people, eat the skeptics, and say, look, have a look. It's like driving a car. You've got to study the highway code, and that makes you a more prolific driver. And it's the same with the UFO enigma. Once you take on board, yes, there's a lot of nonsense out there, but in your heart, you will know that rings true. There's a wealth of information out there for the young people who are becoming more and more interested. And so this is why we write the books. And the A70 UFO incident, reported UFO abduction, is a massive, massive case. And if you want me to do so.
Absolutely marvelous. Yeah, I just looked up a few books. UFO Cave Files. I do that. And let me see. Now
That's the latest, folks. Get Amazon.
yeah, UFO Case Files
Case Files of Scotland. Yeah.
Volume 3. Yeah, I was looking for that. So there are two previous, obvious. Another blooper. Oh my
I
god!
mean, it's not just UFOs I'm interested in. Of course, it's not. It's the paranormal. It's Loch Ness. Series in general fascinate me, and we're trying to find out what is behind these wonderful mysteries. Yeah, and I've said before that my main heart lies with the paranormal, with the spiritual side of the nice and haunted houses, and I've seen a whole bizarre range of stuff that, man, and I've seen it with my own eyes, you know. And but yeah, UFOs are still there. It's still a big part of Robert Taylor, the 70 case, and Falkland Hill, and various other ones.
Yeah, and you already mentioned it, the Loch Ness monster.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I mean,
Have you seen it?
I've got one behind me. No, I mean, Scotland, needless to say, my father regaled me with these wonderful tales of a water horse in Scotland. And the story goes that these kelpies drew from the roadside into the depths of the loch. Just, you know, tales of tales, so to speak. But of course, Nessie was a different kettle of fish. These reports of this beastie have been there since time immemorial, you know. So many of our as a young holidays, were up to Inverness and also Loch Ness, and we also did a trip on one of the up and down Loch Ness. And as a young boy, I was fascinated. I had my father's binoculars, hoping to see Nessie, and then I believe I did, because I saw what appeared in the water. But as an adult growing up, I now know it probably wasn't. Probably what boy was what we call a standing wave. And what that means is you've got one boat traversing north, and as they push against the water, it creates a standing wave. Boats disappear, you're left with a lot of humps, you know, and it's just water turbulence. So it wasn't that. And then when I got older, I took many trips up to Loch Ness. I camped alongside, interviewed the people around the loch, spoke to witnesses, spoke to Alex Campbell of Loch Ness. Now, he's the man, Alex Campbell. He was the man in the 19th century all over the world, because he took on board a sighting of Nessie by a lady who came to him and said that she had seen this monstrous turbulence in water. Aldi Mackay's her name, Aldi Mackay. And she saw this big hump and it disappeared. So he wrote this up in the Inverness Courier in 1930. 33 all over the world, and since then Nessie has been sighted all these years. Like I say, Virginia Campbell saw it as a boy himself. He saw long humps and a long tapering neck. Father Gregory Brucey, who was a monk at the St Benedictine Abbey in Fort Gadley, that's no longer an abbey as such, it's been converted into flats, but he's a man of the cloth. And in 1971, I had a friend from Westminster Cathedral came up. I took him down to the jetty at the south side of Loch Ness. And Loch Ness day, a sheet of glass, not a ripple, just like a sheet of glass. And his long tapering neck up from the bowels of Loch Ness, sheep-like head, and just descended back into the bowels of Loch Ness and was gone. He said to his colleague, he says, "My God, you've been here and you've seen old Nessie." I interviewed Frank Serrell, who came up to Loch Ness, and he was there. I'm going to prove it. I'm going to prove Nessie. I didn't realise how difficult it is excuse me, to photograph this, to fake it. And he started making all these fakes, and I devote a whole in my book on Loch Ness. Anyway, I had the fortune to go to Loch Ness in 1994. It was a 25-foot submersible. It was sponsored by Swatch watches. It had a large front toughened glass and nose of the submarine. Outside were very, very, very strong halogen lights to penetrate the Loch Ness. There were also a porthole in the floor of the submarine, toughened glass, to about, once you get past 12 feet, it's not peat stained anymore, it's heavily peat stained. It is, but only the 12 feet. After that, it's crystal clear. Submarine. We went to a depth of about 600-700 feet. The loch had just, the floor just disappeared. And I said to the skipper, he went, no, we've got to stick to our allotted course. Now, there were no fish at sea lights. The loch floor was sandy silt, the odd rock jutting out vegetation at that part. This was, the submarine was billeted at Dunlop, Loch Ness, and it was the most fantastic hour I've spent in my life, but just Ness, absolutely fantastic. Then in the 90s, I had a phone call from a journalist. He said, "Malcolm, the actor Ted Danson is doing a movie about Nessie. Got any thoughts about it, etc.?" I said, "Well, yeah." I says, "Funnily enough, at this point, I had devised a trap." I know it sounds crazy, but here we go. I just trap to capture Nessie. Now, if you think of a boxing ring, yeah, square, got the ropes. Imagine that as a big tower with all the ropes. Spherical balls with radio biopsy darts sticking out of these spherical. Inside this device would be a machine turning out a fish puree. So any large creature it pushes against these ropes will radio biopsy darts like a grenade and penetrate the creature's side. Oh, great. So away he went. I got a phone call the next day and he says, "Malcolm, interested in putting money up for your trap?" I went, "Who?" "Steven Spielberg." He says, "Yeah, the movie maker wants to help you catch Nessie." Did it come? Badly it didn't. Steven Spielberg went on to make various movies and it fell flat. I still feel that maybe that would be a viable proposition to maybe capture some days. It's not a plesiosaur, by the way. It's not a prehistoric animal, because a plesiosaur vertically, it was impossible. And so I think it's probably a large, very large, mutated eel, or an or possibly prehistoric origin. I mean, we're still trying to find out about the site, etc. Ogopogo in Canada, and so we're finding insects on a daily basis. Frogs in the jungle. It's never been categorized. 1930, fishermen off the coast of Madagascar caught a prehistoric, and it's still being caught in next today. A prehistoric fish, the shark.
Yeah.
So Loch Ness, dear to my heart, love it dearly.
Yeah, so do I. And I just want when you started about the prehistoric part, and it could be this or it could be that. When I showed Loch Ness to my children, the first thing they said, "Oh, dinosaur." I was like, "They're right. It looks
Yeah.
like a dino."
Could be.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. A dinosaur, you know, some of it was often claimed as a plesiosaur. In fact, if you wait a minute, I think I've got something like that. I don't know if
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
see that. So you got the flippers and the elytra, you know. But I don't think it's a plesiosaur. Like I said earlier, plesiosaurs couldn't. But we love Nessie. We love her.
Yeah.
Oh yes, we do.
Yeah, but it could be a hybrid. A mix from something.
Yeah.
Why not?
It's a very good possibility.
Yeah. They have created dire wolf, a hybrid. So they find the chupacabra is they found DNA and it's a hybrid species. So maybe Nessie is a hybrid as well.
They say that about the chupacabra, that maybe it was made some tests on this creature and made a kind of chupacabra, and excuse me, somehow, I don't know. There's so many stories.
Yeah,
There's too many stories.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And the scientists are fighting all over it. So.
They always do because they can't
Yes.
find out what it is.
Exactly. Well, do you also research cryptids, especially for Lois?
Yeah, I mean, we have. I've got a number of models here in my office. I don't know if you can see this one. Is Pascagoula, alien, and that was made for me by Jason Gleaves. He's a model maker. It's a model maker, and he makes a lot of my models of UFO sighting. I've got worlds. I've got the Tic Tac, the USS Theodore Roosevelt models of that. I also have over my left shoulder. You're right. Will be a model of the G. Wells machine. So I just love my models and etc. We have here as well from Lost in Space. I don't know if you can see that one there. And I have Gort, the robot, from The Day the Earth Stood Still. And it's just nice, the artifacts in the office, and along with all my books behind me, it's just a cave, you know, like a sanctuary for myself, do all my writing and do my emails and contact people. It's just great to have a proper office where you can do these things.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a comment especially for you. From Greg Goss. I have 2 shows a week on the Supernatural 8 network, and one on Wednesday is on ITC. I'm so glad to hear you're on this one. So, from Craig.
I just love speaking to people these subjects because not a lot of people know about the Scotland. Let's be honest, and it's nice to come on to a Dutch program cases and Nessie as well, and it's just great. The Bob Taylor incident. When I finished my book on the case, as I said, more people were coming. The story I'm about to tell you is in the latest book, which is that I'm going to plug it again.
Yeah.
So here's the story. I'll do it. So this is what the guy told me. The guy, I have about 5 big husky dogs, beautiful dogs, big tall. They're scared of nothing. I took them up to Deckmont Woods. Now this is years. I took these dogs up to Deckmont Woods along with my friend. He had his dogs, and it's suddenly a fast-moving light streaking through all the trees at Deckmont Woods, and he continued his walk with his dogs, and then his dog stopped, and hind leg and a whimpering. And he went, "What's the matter with you?" He says, "Malcolm," and suddenly they're backing up. They're going back the way. And then he says, "Then I saw it. You won't believe me, Malcolm. Tell me." He claimed he saw what we call a part wolf, part dog. It was all furry, black, and it had this snout, and it said it was red eyes, and it was only a matter of feet away from him, and eyes upon eyes upon eyes. And he says, "I don't know you'd done excited, and I guess I was frightened. And then suddenly the thing. Now these dog men sightings are worldwide, as we know, and to come up in Deckmont Woods, the scene of one of Scotland's biggest cases, and that full story, more of that's in the latest book. Yeah, crazy.
Dogman sightings. I'm so jealous. You know why? We don't have that much sightings about cryptids or whatever. Shane has seen a cryptid, and I think I never seen one.
Well, would you believe? I know this is going to sound weird from my perspective. We have a lady researcher here in Scotland, and big foot creatures roaming the wilderness parts of Scotland, because parts of Scotland is all kind of wilderness, and they've been, these moved up like a tent pushed against a main tree are signs of what a Bigfoot will do. And I've not really researched this myself. I can only go by. She gave a wonderful presentation at the Paranormal Conference a few years ago, where she went on stage and blew everybody away, wax and marks and howls and everything. And to think we've got that in Scotland, it's exciting. Don't you just love this subject?
I love it so much.
Oh yes, definitely.
Yeah, I can't talk enough about it, and I want to know everything, and I even want to experience it.
Yes, so do I.
Yeah. For example, Kelpie. Come on, let's go. Let's find a sighting.
But I think I'd like to tell you about. I don't know how much the Dutch people know the 70 case. Shane and Mary, are you aware of the A70 UFO?
I heard about it. Yes.
I haven't. I've seen a lot, but I can't remember hearing about that.
Okay, are you sitting comfortably?
I am.
Yes.
Okay. I'll try my very best to give you the short version, right? This is for the Dutch story, but I'm just hoping, again, I'm trying to awaken the Dutch viewers to this. 1992, Gary Wood was employed by the St John Edinburgh. He was at that point, he was an ambulance repairman, and his friend, and decorator. Again, both men, no interest in UFOs. But that was the furthest thing from their mind, you know. And so on that August 92, they travelled from Edinburgh, the capital city of Scotland, to take us to some friends in a small village in Brax. Now, as you leave the tenement buildings, the grey buildings, eventually the road, the A70, and its fields for miles and miles, farmers' fields, a little reservoir, a little house, sheep, that's all it is. So it's dark, and they're driving down this road, and such large two-tiered shiny black object hovering above the surface of a sharp corner of this. They knew, as most people in close proximity sightings are aware of, this ain't no helicopter, this ain't no aircraft of any description. What do we do? I've done this on many shows, so if you can imagine this is UFO. This hand is a car. It was directly underneath this hovering object. This object shimmering curtain of sparkly mist, sparkly snowflake mist beneath this hovering object hit the car. And as soon as that effect hit the car, developed in total and inky blackness. They couldn't see their hand, couldn't see each other, they couldn't see the dashboard of the car. Are we dead? Is this what death looks like? They regained their sight seconds later, apparently, we don't know for how long. The car was on the wrong side, wheel back onto the left-hand side of the road. That's where we drive in the UK, of course, left-hand side. After Brax, this house, this people. No, the door, no answer. Eventually, the lady of the house opened up an upstairs window. What time do you call this? What do you mean? An hour and a half late, you should have been. Now, the journey should only have taken 35 minutes. That's over that. An hour and a half over that. So they proceeded to tell the occupants of the house, they roared with laughter. They got laughed out of the house. Now that night, after, they had strange dreams of these small grey beings, large pear-shaped head, black inky almond shaped eyes coming into their dream world. And then the scars on their body that were not there before. There. So Gary's thinking, surely this can't be one of the founder shop. But what if it is? Who do you go to? Who do you tell? So he had the library in Edinburgh. He went to the UFO paranormal section. He picked out a book by the wonderful Jenny S. And our contact details for SPI were in that book. Long story short, we invited him to my home, and at that point I advocated the use of hypnotic regression. Guys, would you be happy to go under hypnosis just to see if perhaps something else might have happened? Oh, come please, we'll do anything we need to believe us. Our workmates don't believe us. We're getting laughed at all the time. We need to make it happen. And I says, yeah, of course. So with a qualified hypnotherapist, a lady by Helen Longer with us, bless you, Helen, she subjected both men, took them individually back to that August evening, and what I'm about to tell a story that came under hypnosis. The conscious recall was only ever seen of the UFO and the sparkly light. That's a conscious recall. Under hypnosis, the car was stopped. 3 or 4 small beings came toward possibly out of the car. They were taken on board this object, presumably, and completely naked on a flat raised table about 4 or 5 feet away this object. The interior of this room was curved. The ceiling was plated plastic with a light shining through, and it felt very cool. It felt hot. It was just cool. And he was naked. And there were 2 small beings, pendulum-like device, moving it around Gary's legs and his body. And he says, Malcolm, when he did that, the feeling was like somebody's hand was inside my entrails. The pain was horrendous. He also saw a number of objects in the, if it's too big a story to tell in a small sitting. One of the main things that Gary to tell me at the time, I said, no, please, you got to tell me. Doesn't matter if it sounds silly. Okay, here goes. And what Gary said to me was this. As he was lying on this, I couldn't move a muscle. I could only move my eyes. I desperately, I need these little beings, but I couldn't move. I could not move. And then he said down to his left was a naked female, about 16, 17 years of age, folded around her knees. Her knees were up under her chin, her arms around that. She had shaggy, they turned and looked at Gary, and Gary says, I'll never, ever forget his face, the despair in her face. She had tears running down her face. Colin found himself encased in a kind of tall person, naked. He was strapped, and when he could not move, he could only move his eyes. But when he looked in front of him, there were other males and females completely naked in this all beings moving around, doing things, etc. And again, I've only scratched the surface of the case, and again, I had to write a book about the whole case and to me, it's one of Scotland's best UFO abduction cases. First reported UFO abduction. There may well be others by society as yet.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I'm just going to do other stories about that because it's very important. Gary's wife with her now. She didn't believe him. Did not believe him. Making it all up. Then I was one night, and she says, Malcolm, Gary was sleeping beside me. Sleeping. He was reading a book. Closed the book. Put it on the bedside cabinet. Light off. Bedside light off. The room was enveloped in blackness, and about 30 small childlike hands grasped my ankles and pulled my head. Whereas my head was on the pillow, it's now partly down the bed, and I looked, and I saw two grey beings who released my ankles and just melted through the wall and were gone. I'm so sorry for doubting my husband. I firmly believe him now after having that experience. And one final story on this one, and this is years after the main event. I said, Gary, is it? Yeah. Okay, what happened? He says, well, you got to believe me. I woke up. I don't know why I woke up. I woke up in my bed at night, a small being at the foot of the bed, and Gary said to himself, I've got you now. This is my house. You are not getting away. So Gary threw off the covers of the bed, being I know it sounds crazy, and he punched this wee guy, and he somersaulted back, and he raced towards Gary, and an explosion of light. Gary says, I can't remember, just a tremendous burst of light as this small creature ran up towards me, and I woke up. Are you sure it wasn't a dream? Was it a dream? It was real. So it's a big case. It's a massive case.
Yeah. Like I said, I heard about it. That's a curious case for me.
Yeah.
When I heard that, I was like, wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What's the reason for it?
Yeah, good question.
Yeah.
We will probably never know until we find
Get us
out what they are doing here.
Sorry. I don't want to be abducted.
No, me neither.
No.
I got scars on my own. I don't need them. I got enough of them.
Well, we can have a nice podcast about it.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, no, still no.
No, we won't. We won't. Well, we are almost at the end. We do an hour 50 minutes at tops. You wrote about 8 books, I think. Where can people buy those books?
At the recent count, it's now 14 books. I'm working on the 15th. I'll come out. And then Amazon or Lulu. Amazon platforms in, I dare say, Holland, etc. And yeah, I mean, I urge everybody just to get educated, and don't buy as many UFO books by authors as you can, because it's all about education, that knowledge, and once you familiarize yourself with a vast amount of knowledge, and you get, as I say, you're left with some astonishing cases, and but we're no near a problem. I don't know why.
Yeah. If people want to follow you, where can they find you? I know all over Facebook, but
I mean, to be honest with you, I'm only on Facebook. I've been asked to join social media sites, Instagram and all that, but I don't have time for that. I'm too busy or interviewing people, so I'm only on Facebook. And the name Malcolm Robinson, graph of me, because like anything else, I'm more than one Malcolm Robinson or Jacques Vallée or. So to find me, the photograph is me sitting on a bench with a lake, a grey alien peering behind a tree. So that's when you know you've got the right Malcolm Robinson.
Yeah, I had that same thing. I was looking you up, and I was like, "Whoa, that's a lot of them. That's probably not all one." No, I found the alien.
Yeah.
I found it as well many years ago. Greg is asking if your books are available in the States. I think Amazon. That's the first thing Amazon should have them. So
it should be available in the United States, and it's a combination of ghosts, UFOs, and my latest book that I'm working on now is in Mysteries, but usually I stay within the British Isles, but this time I'm moving over to Holland and all the crazy stories from these countries, and it's the working title of the supernatural, so tales from all over the place. And I'd just like to say, I take this subject so seriously that a few years ago, with the help of a local councillor by the name of Billy Buchanan, he and I went down to 10 Downing Street, over to Gordon Brown, Rishi Sunak, John Major, Tony Blair, asking for an inquiry into the UFO sightings in Scotland. Sadly, there have been dragging their heels are taken as ever came from the British government. I honestly believe that not just the American and I dare say the Dutch government, no more than they're letting the pre-classified government files that was released by America. Many pre-classified documents clearly showed that the CIA, the NSA, and the FBI were actively and I've said this before, many documents has been released under the Freedom of Information Act. These documents are heavily blacked out, paragraph after paragraph blacked out in those paragraphs.
Yeah.
What is in those paragraphs? We'd love to know.
Yeah. Project Blue Book and
Oh yeah.
yeah, we know it.
That's the most amazing part. We all know it.
Yeah.
There's just no proof because they will never admit it.
Everything will be blacked out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, people speculate again that men race. I find that hard to believe, but some abductees claim not only do they see the greys and military people with the greys in these environments, whether we can put any stock on these claims, but clearly the advancements since the Wright brothers first flew and was it 1909? When they first flew to man's first foot on the moon, came a long way, you know. I'm not saying that we've got any technology at Roswell, New Mexico or anything. That again, that's pure speculation. Other people you may have, yes, we do have back-end technology. The big thing is, of course, tic-tac sightings, the Go Fast and Gimbal. These were sightings which was cited by a fleet of American naval ships, the USS Theodore Roosevelt, and there was another one involved as well. Now, they dispatched Navy pilots and objects, and these were travelling at excessive speeds and stop, sharp right turns, and object, the G-force would surely kill pilot. Could it have been a drone? We don't know. But clearly there is a technology out there that nobody's putting their hand up and saying masters of this technology. Surely if America or Great Britain had this one to say, we got this, you better be aware, look at what we've got. But nobody is coming forward moving objects, you know. So where do they come from?
Yeah, exactly. And Russia has the same, because in Russia they had a crash site as well, and they claim to have extraterrestrials, and so they should be bragging about it. So
Yep.
You would think so. You would think so. You would tell the world about the technology. Look at Russia. Look at a few months ago they paraded all the look what we've got, guys.
Yeah.
And I think and North Korea did the same as well. The world as it stands just now is very, very unstable. We have the Ukrainian, the madman Putin invading a territory which he claims he wants back. It's like Hitler, it's like Pol Pot, it's all dictators. We still, to think today, it's terrible, you know. And the world is pretty unstable, but because only quality and honesty and goodness and will prevail. And if they don't, does that mean perhaps our visitors upstate finally say, you guys are going too far. You got to stop it. Maybe that intrusion by these so-called UFOs.
Yeah, that would be the best thing. If they want to come to us, they have to do it now and scream out, "It's enough what you've done." Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. Absolutely. I'm out of questions.
So I just saw the comment of Craig. He said,
Yeah.
"I'll look you up, Malcolm, on Facebook. Thank you, and thank you for the great show." Well, which we want to thank you, of course. We of course want to thank you for the great show and coming on with us. It was a
Yes,
complete honor to have you.
absolutely.
You made
Uh,
me a lot
I,
smarter.
well, I mean, I just love speaking up, and as I say, I've, I've I've only been over to Holland once, and that was a few years ago, where I lived a Dutch UFO society, and that they're lovely people. You are lovely people. Pleased that you've got me on the show, and I don't see any subtitles, so I must be doing okay.
Oh, you're doing pretty good. Yes,
Yes, you do, you do.
you're completely understandable.
And I'm not
Cheers.
asking what, so so I'm improving.
Oh yes, oh yes, definitely.
Well, we are at the end of this week's Things Paranormal
Paranormal
Talks.
talks. Yes,
Yes, and we talked to Malcolm Robinson. And thank you all for joining. Thank you, everyone in the chat and on YouTube, just listening and saying hi. We saw you. And next week, this was practice. I have to listen to Scottish people next week again
yes,
because next week, and this is going to be a major spoiler, uh, we have Haunted Scotland. We have Ryan and Greg. So if you want to know more, write down your questions. It's our Halloween special on Wednesday evening,
yes, it is.
Haunted Scotland. So
All right. Thank you all for watching, listening, and thank you, Malcolm, for joining us. And we hope to see you again soon.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.